Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Salim Hassani and I'm your host once again for this program, From Birth Until Death. With us once again, we're delighted to have Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad. Assalamu alaikum wa
Wa alaikum
rahmatullah.
assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, very good.
It's a pleasure to have you on here once again.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah feek.
Sheikh, in the previous episodes, we've been talking about the upbringing of the newborn. We went through a number of things such as aqiqah, head shaving, we've been talking about breastfeeding, and now we've come to the important topic of custody. And we just want to know who should provide custody of the child, just as a starting point.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. First of all, we mean by custody looking after the child. Looking after the child from different angles. First of all, emotionally, which is very important.
Yes.
And the second point, the needs of that child.
Yes.
Food, clothes,
Yes.
shelter. These are the basic needs.
Yes.
Plus the emotional
Right.
needs.
Sure.
And the upbringing in general, the tarbiyah. So these are three important levels of custody, you can say,
Yes.
or elements of custody. The physical needs are mainly three things: the food, clothes, and shelter.
Yes.
Of course, some people might say, what about health? Of course, health is included in
Yes.
that, or medicine, if there is a need for that. The other thing is, so this is the physical needs of the
Yes.
child. The emotional needs.
The emotional needs, yes.
Many people don't look at the emotional needs because the child needs his mother
Yes.
emotionally, and he needs his father as well emotionally.
Yes.
And also the third need, which is the tarbiyah,
Yes.
which is the right of the child over his parents
Yes.
to receive good upbringing, to teach him what is right and what is wrong,
Yes.
including what? Including teaching him the Islamic teachings.
Right.
Okay? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Muru awladakum bis-salati li-sab'a, wadribuhum alayha li-'ashr." Muru. So you are commanded to command your children.
Yes.
And from this hadith, you are commanded to pray part of your prayer at home, because the sunnah is to be prayed at home.
Yes.
So when the parents pray at home, the child sees them, and then the child starts copying them.
Yes.
This is again part of the upbringing of the child,
Yes.
to teach him what is right, what is wrong, if
Yes.
he lies, if he exposed himself, and so on.
Yes.
This is tarbiyah.
Yes.
Of course, we are not giving a lecture about tarbiyah, because the remit of this program is the fiqh rulings.
Yes.
But this is the general meaning of custody, or hadanat al-tifl, especially in the first few years of his age.
Yes. I think that's an important point you mentioned, Sheikh. We'd just like to mention to our viewers once again that we're concentrating on the rulings specifically here of the upbringing of the
Yes.
child rather than other aspects. Please continue, Sheikh.
Yeah, so this is the custody.
Yes.
Now, generally speaking, who should provide this? And it is the right of the child upon who?
Yes.
Generally speaking, it is the right of the child on both his father as well as his mother.
Okay.
But there are some details. His father is responsible to provide him with the maintenance, financial maintenance.
Right.
والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة وعلى المولود له, means the father of the child,
Yes.
رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف.
Yes.
The father of the child should provide for the child and his mother, and his mother, the one who is looking after the child.
Yes.
And there are a number of ahadith. I think that once we talk about the ahadith, people think that the matter is not a common sense. It is a common sense, and it is well established in Sharia.
Yes.
So the father is financially responsible to look after his children.
Okay.
And as you know, the Prophet ﷺ, among the ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا أَنْ يُضَيِّعَ مَنْ يَعُولُ. It is it is a sufficient ithm for the person to neglect what he is responsible for, or those whom he is responsible for. And you know, to the level that zakat al-fitr, zakat al-fitr, the fitr zakah, the scholars said that the father should pay for his children.
Yes.
On behalf of his children.
Yes.
As it is mentioned indirectly in some of the hadith, hadith Ibn Umar and hadith Ibn Abbas. So the financial maintenance is the responsibility of the father.
Okay.
Now the care, and breastfeeding, as we mentioned previously, and looking after the child, cleaning him, etc., is the responsibility of mainly the mother. However, scholars, most of them believe that if the mother said, I will not do this for your child unless you pay me,
yes,
because we just mentioned the ayah, وَالْوَالِدَاتُ يُرْضَعْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنْ, if she said, no, you can't, I will not do this unless you pay me,
yes,
then she is entitled for this.
Right. So she's entitled to this financial...
She's entitled for
compensation,
to look after her child,
yes,
and to look and to breastfeed even the child.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Now this is again generally speaking. Now if she is divorced, then that entitlement is more established.
Right.
So she said, this is your child,
yes,
I will not look after him except if you give me this money.
Yes.
However, having said this, I would like to stress on another point, that if the father, which I think I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, if the father is poor,
yes,
he cannot provide for his wife a compensation to look after his child or their child. If he is poor, then it is the responsibility of the mother to look after her child, even to look after, I mean from a moral perspective, caring for him, etc., cleaning him, etc., non-financial maintenance, we can say.
Yes.
It is her responsibility. Why? Because if the father cannot pay for this, and she said, I don't want to do this,
yes,
then where is the child going to go?
Exactly.
So sometimes some fiqhi rulings should be taken inside a context,
yes,
within a context,
yes,
and we have to understand the full picture, otherwise we will end up with very weird situations, very un-Islamic and unacceptable situations.
Yes. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Now we mentioned about, you touched upon if there was to be a divorce, or there was the separation, and there was a child involved. Now what would happen in terms of the custody of that child in this situation?
Yeah, Bismillah. Normally, the issue of custody is discussed when there is a divorce. That is true. So, the man divorced the wife, they have children.
Yes.
Now, let us make it simple. The children might be very young children.
Yes.
Let us say below the age of puberty.
Okay.
Or they are almost adults, or maybe teenagers above the age of puberty.
Okay.
Generally speaking, and we will discuss this.
Yes.
If they are young children, then it is the consensus of all scholars that the one who deserves the custody of the child is his mother.
Right. Okay.
This is generally speaking.
Yes.
And it is almost the consensus of all scholars.
Okay.
Now, here, as we are discussing this, of course, there are a number of ahadith that support this. The hadith, the very famous hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, that a lady came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, this is my son. My صدري كان له وعاء, I breastfed him. And hijri كان له غطاء, and my lap was like his heavens. Okay? And his father now is claiming him. He wants him.
Right.
The Prophet ﷺ said, أنت أحق به ما لم تنكحي. You have right over him as far as you do not marry.
Okay.
You have right over him as far as you do not marry.
Yes.
And also the hadith of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu.
Yes.
He got married to a lady from Ansar.
Yes.
And she brought his child Asim. You know, Asim ibn Umar is the father of the mother of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. If we remember, for our viewers, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, his mother was the daughter of Asim.
Yes.
Asim, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So Umar ibn al-Khattab got married to the mother of Asim.
Yes.
She gave birth to Asim.
Yes.
And then Umar ibn al-Khattab divorced her.
Yes.
So Asim, their son, was with her.
Yes.
One time Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was visiting Quba, the masjid of Quba in Medina.
Yes.
And Asim was playing in the courtyard. So Umar ibn al-Khattab saw him and he grabbed him. He put him in front of him in the camel. So the grandmother of the child saw Umar ibn al-Khattab taking her grandson.
Yes.
So she went after Umar ibn al-Khattab and she took the child.
Yes.
Then they had this dispute in front of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, Ya Umar, leave him. Give him to them.
Yes.
To his mother. So in another narration, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, the mother is more merciful,
yes,
more loving, more generous, more caring.
Yes.
So the scholars took from this that because the mother has these qualities,
yes,
she has the right of custody over her young children, provided that she does not get married to another man.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for going in and explaining this in depth. Once we come back after the break, inshallah, we'll be continuing with this aspect of custody with the newborn child. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back after the break. We're just going to continue now on this topic of custody, and we're delighted that Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad is still here with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, we're talking about custody and who has the rights of bringing up the child, and we were talking a bit about the mother, and you mentioned a story before we went to the break. Now, what would happen in the situation if one would say, for example, the mother maybe not befitting to, for example, take care of the child?
Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Here we will discuss the issue of the order. If she is not befitting to take care of the child or to look after the child,
yes,
then who is next?
Yes.
But before this, see, what does befitting mean and what does not befitting mean?
Yes.
There are some details, but generally speaking, if the mother is a Muslim mother,
yes,
that is going to raise her child according to Islam,
yes,
and she is physically able to look after the child, then she is befitting.
Right. Okay.
Other than that, she is not befitting.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, here, we would like to pinpoint one important issue, is that the custody, is it the right of the child, the mother, or the father? Of course, we said that the mother has the right over the child.
Yes.
But if we saw that the mother is not befitting for whatever reason,
yes,
then it doesn't mean that we should allow her to look after the child in a way that will cause harm for the child. Which means that the highest priority in terms of custody, or the highest right in terms of the custody, is the right of the child.
Right.
Not the right of the mother, nor the right of the father.
Okay.
So what is most suitable to the child, what is best for the child, then we should go for that.
Okay.
And Sharia said, generally speaking, what is the best for the child is his mother, unless there are some elements, or there are there are problems with the mother, if from aqidah perspective, or from religion perspective, or from physical perspective, or from other perspectives, then we can say that because of the interest of the child, he should go to someone else.
Right.
So this is the point.
Okay.
Now some people, they don't have a balance between the right of the child to get the right upbringing,
Yes.
and the right of the mother, because the mother has some rights over her child. You cannot deprive a mother from her children.
Yes.
Similarly, you cannot deprive a father from his children.
Yes.
So there are three rights.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in some Western countries, unfortunately, they look at the right of the child only,
Yes.
irrespective of the emotional needs for his mother and the emotional needs for his father.
Yes.
So sometimes they would deprive a mother from her children
Yes.
just because of a small thing. I was with Sheikh Yusuf Estes, and we were talking about this, and he said in America, if whatever you do to your child, whatever, even if you smack him a little bit, then you have to go to the court. And if it is the case that you are a Muslim, then they might take him, of course, under the law. And this is generally speaking in Western countries.
Yes. Yes.
And here we say that, subhanallah, you did not look after the right of the mother. You are breaking her heart. And Islam was what? Islam looked at all of them.
Yes.
Okay? Islam looks at the right of the child himself, the right of the mother herself, and the right of the father.
Yes.
So this is the case. Now, when we say that the right of custody, the highest right of custody belongs to the child and then to the mother, and the mother has the right to take care of her child, to look after him, it doesn't mean that the father will be stopped from any kind of access to his child.
Right. Okay.
But there should be an agreement that the child will live, for example, during the weekdays with his mother.
Okay.
But in the weekends, he will go to his father.
Okay.
There should be a setup like this.
Yes.
Or, for example, the mother drops him to the school,
Yes.
and the father collects him
Right.
to see him.
Yes.
And the mother should not stop the father from having access to the child, provided that this access does not disturb or cause harm.
Okay.
So, for example, if the father wants to collect his son from the school and drop him to his mother,
Yes.
then the father should not stop from that.
Yes.
Because it is his right, and it is the right of his son to be what? To be raised up by a child, by his father.
Yes.
He needs a father in his life.
Yes.
And if it is a daughter, she needs a father,
Yes.
okay, in her life.
Yeah.
This is something important. Unfortunately, in the West, what we have seen is that sisters, when they gain the custody of their children, they stop the father from having any access,
Yes.
because they are supported by the law, and this is haram.
Okay.
And they are not depriving the father
Yes.
from seeing the child or having access to the child. They are depriving the child from being raised up by a father.
Right.
So it is a big sin.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. I mean, that's very prevalent, especially in the Western countries within the UK, as
Yes,
you know.
definitely. Yeah.
And just carrying on from this in terms of the order, so we mentioned the mother. Then what would happen if, for example, the mother's not befitting, or for whatever reason?
Yeah, after the mother, if the judge decide that the mother is not befitting or she is not there,
Yes.
or according to the hadith that we just mentioned, أنت أحق به ما لم تنكحي, hadith Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, that you have more right over him provided that you do not get married.
Yes.
So if she gets married, then she loses the right of custody over her children, over her younger children.
Okay.
So in that case, who is next? Most of the scholars believe that her mother is the next.
Okay.
Her mother is the next.
Right.
some scholars believe that her sister is the next,
Okay.
which is the auntie of the children.
Yes.
And some other scholars believe that her father, the father,
Yes.
her husband, is the next.
Okay.
They said that there is no clear evidence regarding this. And they said that if we are looking at the interest of the child,
Yes.
then sometimes the father has more right and has more ability to bring up his child and to look after him than the grandmother of the child.
Okay.
Also, they said that if there is a dispute, and instead of going to someone who is not directly related to the child, he is second relative, we should go for the first relative, who is what? Who is the father
Yes.
of the child.
Okay.
Moreover, they said that if the child stays with the grandmother, it is in fact he is staying with the mother.
Oh.
And the mother, she is spending time with her husband, with her new husband. And that goes against the interest of the child.
Yes.
Okay? So anyway, we leave it to qada, to judgment, if that is the case.
Okay.
But generally speaking, it is the grandmother, or the mother of the mother, to be specific and more accurate,
Yes.
is the mother of the mother,
Okay.
has more right of custody over the child.
Okay.
And then after that, it is the aunt, the khala,
Yeah.
the auntie, and then it goes to the father, and so on. It is a matter of judgment. Let us not get into this.
Okay. Jazakallah khair for clearing this issue up, Sheikh. Now, sometimes it may happen that we mentioned this if the child is very young. If the child was, for example, a teenager or someone a bit old, around that age group, what would happen? Would he be able to choose in this situation?
Okay. Yeah. There is an hadith Abi Hurairah that there was a dispute between a father and a mother over a child. And the child was almost, you can say, a teenager.
Okay.
A boy who was a teenager.
Okay.
So the Prophet ﷺ said to the child, to the boy, this is your mother, this is your father. Go with whom you want to go with.
Right. Okay.
So they took from this hadith that there is a certain age. Above that age, the boy will be given the choice. The boy will be given the choice whether he wants to join his mother or to stay with his, to remain with his mother, or to go with his father.
Okay.
He will be given the choice.
Is the choice? Okay.
This is if the child is what? A boy.
A boy. Okay.
But they said if the child is a female,
Yes.
then the female should go with her father, full stop.
Jazakallah khair for that answer, Sheikh. We've come to the end of another episode, and inshallah in the next episode we'll be looking more in depth and continuing this topic about the newborn and the child and the upbringing. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.